Hello, hello, hello! Welcome to the Booksplosion live show for the month of June. Right?
June.
June. Yeah. Confusing because we pushed back the live show. But anyways, welcome. Today we are talking about This Is Not the Real World by Anna Carey. And this month we were sponsored by Quirk Books. So shout out to Quirk Books. Before we get into what this book is about, should we talk about our July pick? Let's do it. We're going to be
Let's jump into it.
revealing our July book of the month. We have a live show date set for frick.
We just said it.
So-
August 6th.
August 6th. So we have a live show date set, and the book of the month is going to be Gallant by V. Ishwa. Woo, 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 woo. Oh, I like your book, Christine.
Thanks. It's an audiobook. So
Love an audiobook moment.
There's like illustrations and like other cool things in the book that you need to see.
You're going to
Well-
miss out.
you know what? I'm gonna be able to read it in audio form.
God.
Oh God.
That was a deep voice.
That's the audiobook guy.
I'll just draw you the pictures and send them to you as I can.
Thanks. That would be nice. I'd appreciate it.
But Kitten, would you like to give us a little rundown?
Yes. So this is, I believe it's a standalone. And there's like fantasy speculative elements, as we often get with Victoria Schwab books. It's about a young woman, a girl named Olivia, who doesn't really know, who doesn't really know anything about her family or her history or like where she belongs. All she really has from her past is this old journal of her mother's. And then one day she gets a letter, a mysterious letter that's apparently sent from like her old household that invites her to come visit. And her mother's journal warns her to never go there. But of course, Olivia has to figure out like what's going on, where she comes from, like who invited her back to her home. And she has like a cousin who's like her only remaining family. So she goes back, and the house is very like spooky and mysterious. And there are like sort of creepy fantasy elements of like a shadow world. And she gets drawn into the mystery of like this estate house that apparently no one from the house actually sent her the letter. So like, where did the letter come from? Like, did the house invite her? Like, what's going on?
Yes, lots of mystery and intrigue.
Yeah.
But we love Victoria Schwab, so we're
We
excited to get into it. But today we're talking about This Is Not the Real World. Woo, woo, woo. This is the sequel to This Is Not the Just Show. And obviously it's a sequel, so we can't say much. But Christine, give us a little bit of a rundown as to what this book is all about.
Yeah, so I'm not going to say too much about This Is Not the Just Show because it's one of those books that it's better if you go in knowing like a minimal amount.
Mm-hmm.
But it's about this girl, Jess, and she's growing up in the 90s, so it's very nostalgic. And then all of a sudden, like things get very Black Mirror, Twilight Zone, and like what she thinks like her life is turns out to be very different from the reality of the situation. And
Yes.
it's very scary in like a thriller kind of way, not like in a boo, in like a whoa, everything is not what I thought. This is freaking me out sort of way.
Exactly.
And this is
I remember there's one element where like she came home and her dog was different. It was like her dog was replaced with another similar looking dog, and it was just a whole bunch of like WTF.
Yeah. What is going on here?
yeah. So
Before we get into our spoilery thoughts on this book, let's share some non-spoilery thoughts as much as you can, because obviously it is a sequel and we can't say too much, but try to share some thoughts. Kat, why don't you kick us off?
Well, it's hard to talk about not spoil things, so we'll really get into it in a couple minutes here. But much like with the first book, I love this premise and I love the exploration of it. Like the 90s nostalgia is so fun, combined with the sort of sci-fi mystery elements that we get. I love exploring this world and the premise. It's so hard to talk about it without spoilers. This installment, I enjoyed it, but not as much as the first book. I feel like the first book had a much stronger mystery element, whereas this one has more of like a quest element. There is a bit of like a heist plot, which I really enjoyed. But the first book was so intriguing and ended on such a great note. That I think we talked about this in the first show. We're like, we didn't know if we wanted a sequel or not. Like the ending was such a oomph moment that like it could have ended there, or we could have gone with a sequel. And I did end up enjoying that we got to explore more. And I'm stuck wondering again, like, is there another book? Is there a third book? Because again, this ending ends in a way where it's like, is that the end or not?
Yeah. I liked the way the first book ended, and I kind of wish we left it at that, because it was so like, you had that holy shit, they're gonna do that moment. And it leaves you with this pit in your stomach that you want from a book like this. That just like makes you think. And I was here for like the couple in this book. Like I really loved Kips and Jess, and they were kind of keeping me going through like all the frustrations of the show and everything. Oh, how do I not spoil?
You doubt we'll talk about it.
That's okay.
Yeah, that was my favorite part. Their relationship.
I thought that was going to be your favorite part as I was reading, and I was like, okay, she's going to enjoy these parts of it, because we didn't really get much of that in the first book.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, so it was kind of nice to see that. But I agree with everything you guys said. I think like one thing that like remains true even with this book is that like it's kind of just frustrating. Like just all the things that are happening. Like it's not like a frustrating book. It's just like frustrating the situations that are happening. Like you just get heated reading about these things that are going on and just the way things are being handled. And it's just like so frustrating getting through it.
It's also a little too close to home.
Yeah, exactly. But
conflicts are very real things and like things that we can totally see happening.
Yeah.
It's just like,
it's not far off from things that we're seeing now. But I enjoyed it. I like seeing
Destiny, your camera.
The way I wasn't even looking at it, so it's just
it was like a really old person on their iPhone.
Anyway, I really liked this book. It was fun.
You know, there's fucking landscapers like right outside my door right now. I keep muted.
It was very interesting to see like where things ended up with this book. It went in a lot of ways that I was not expecting it to go in, which I'm excited to talk about that because I have a lot of like thoughts and questions about things that happened, and I want to hear your guys' opinions as well. So I think that's where we're going to end the non-spoilery thoughts, because I think it's hard to talk about this book without talking spoilers. So if you have not read this book, go and check it out. Go check out This Is Not the Jess Show, then pick up this book and read it, and then come back and watch the live stream. All right, starting spoilers in 3, 2, 1. What am I doing? Welcome to spoiler time.
Jesse, it's interesting that you say that it went in places you didn't expect, because for me it seemed very straightforward and like
really.
There were things that like weren't super surprised. Like I enjoyed a lot of the drama of like Jess confronting all these people from her past, and like I really enjoyed that aspect, and also like Christine, the relationship. But like plot wise, it seems it is what I expected out of it.
Really? 'Cause, okay, the one thing that was like the most interesting to me was like we have this girl that replaced Jess in the show, and there was like nothing with her. Like she goes in and like fires her, and then like we get nothing with her after that. I was like, that was the thing where I was like, there's gonna be some like some kind of tension here, or like some kind of storyline that like is dragged out a little bit more. But it was just like cut off.
Yeah.
What? Like that's the one thing where I was like, this is really unexpected. Like I thought she was gonna like fight more or like you know,
It was
causing
almost
chaos
like
or something.
they didn't like her anyway, and so it was like they didn't think it was worth going into. It was that it almost felt like she didn't have enough power from her
Yeah.
short time on the show.
Mm.
I don't know.
That's another reason why I think there's got to be a third book, because that felt like kind of like left unfinished. Because
Yeah.
Megan was all like, "There's gonna be a vote. You'll get a final say," to the audience, and then like left dramatically, and it's like,
That's true.
but did she ever come back with like the Revenge of Mims or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. The problem with, I feel like, extending this not real plot where she's on the set is that like a lot of the scenes feel, oh my god,
It's okay.
the landscaping. A lot of the scenes feel like one-dimensional. I don't know, they just don't feel as real. And I know it's because they're not real,
Yeah.
but like it's weird in a book to keep reading about, like, I don't know, like the dance. Like we're excited for them to go to the dance and all this stuff to happen. But like they go do their little heist and they come down and they're like, oh, we're done. The dance is over.
Right.
And like there's no actual stuff happening there. So it just feels convenient.
But is it because like in this book we've already uncovered the mystery, so like that kind of element is kind of taking out of it?
Yeah, it's also weird that like though this is a show and they're okay with everyone breaking the fourth wall all the time.
Mhm.
Like where does it end? You know?
Yeah.
Why is everyone still doing it? Like why is it still in the same format?
Mm.
Yeah, that was one thing that felt a little off of them now breaking the fourth wall. Which I mean, I feel like they'd have to do that with like Jess returning to the show. Like they'd have to acknowledge it. But I remember in the first book, the show was very much like you never break the fourth wall kind of situation. So like that was a change. But I mean, I kind of get it from the perspective of like the show is trying to stay alive. Like their ratings are going down, so like they're trying new things. It felt like Hollywood scrambling to like do things good for the ratings.
Right. Yeah, like even with them bringing in like the voting system or whatever of like them being like having the viewers vote for like different things to unravel.
I feel like that was the strongest point where she was like having to go through all that voting stuff and then like breaking down.
Yeah. I mean, I liked the whole aspect where like their heist was so thoroughly thwarted at the end, where like it seemed they had like that false victory moment where like we got out, we put the thing under the salt shaker and it got taken away, and it was like, oh no, you didn't get anywhere. Like now you're in a worse situation than before because like Sarah and Charlie were arrested and like being held over just to like obey. And yeah, it just I liked that element of it. Chrysalis was a really interesting villain. I think she's a really compelling character.
For real. Oh my gosh.
I
want to say
I mean, yeah, she's
we hate
not
her.
likable at all, but like she's an interesting character.
Yeah. Something that kind of like drove me crazy throughout this book was just like the characters like just openly talking about things in places where I felt like it wasn't safe. Like I just felt like they were always being watched, and they would always just like I was like, hello.
They threw their clothes out of the fucking they were like in the treehouse and they threw their clothes out. I'm like, don't you think people are gonna see that and want to get this on camera? Like I don't understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I think would have been fascinating if this book started from Chrysalis's point of view and we like got to know her outside of this, and then we started switching between her and Jess, like when she captured them or something.
Yeah.
That would have been really interesting because she is an interesting character, and I wish we knew more about like what makes her her, and then I think she would be much more compelling. Yeah.
I think that would be true of most of the characters. Like if we got more than one point of view, like more of an ensemble cast looking at this. Because like I was also really interested in Val, the one who like betrayed her for a bigger role, and like I thought that was really interesting. And Amber, who was like secretly helping her. Like all these different dynamics were really interesting, and we could have gone deeper into them if it wasn't a first person point of view.
Right.
It's just like one of the limitations of like that storytelling perspective.
Yeah.
Right.
But like this book could have switched it up a little bit. I think it would have worked really well.
I think it actually would have been interesting if it was written like the sun is also a star, or like they both die at the end, but they have those like small, like it's not like too much, you know, but like little bits here and there, and then like maybe it works up to something bigger, you know.
That would have been really cool, just to like really broaden the scope of the story, because we're so limited in Jess's perspective.
Definitely.
Yeah. Agree.
What did you guys think about Amber in this book?
I'm glad that she was trying to help her. I mean, Jess was starting to annoy me with the way that she kept being like, "Don't talk to me, you are fake," all these years. And it's like, because they were still young too, and like they obviously had moments of real friendship. They were there all the time. Like,
I feel like she was being a little unfair toward the friends when it's like her parents who she should be actually more mad at. Because like the parents,
they like disappeared too.
Yeah, because they're self-absorbed narcissists.
Literally self-absorbed. Oh my!
I know. They were just gone. It was like there was no conflict with them after that initial like discussion. Where they were like, "You hurt our feelings."
That's why it was more interesting, and like Amber is more compelling of a character because she felt remorse and like she was trying to make things better and trying to like still be a friend to Jess, whereas her parents are just like, "You had a good life here, like just get over it."
Right.
Like they had no remorse, like they didn't feel bad at all, they didn't see it was wrong at all, whereas Amber at least like felt sorry even before we knew that she was like gonna secretly help.
That all hits like very close to home in like the most disgusting, annoying, like freaky way. The way like at the end she was like posing for like bathing suit shots and she's like, "We have to separate ourselves from Sarah." Like that was your daughter. Like, that was your daughter on the show. Like
literally.
For years.
They give me big vibes of like family vloggers, like family YouTubers who are like because we see people like that these days, like especially on YouTube, where these family vloggers like are constantly recording their children
exploiting
and
their
whole lives.
I mean, it's on Instagram too. There's like family Instagrams or mommy Instagrammers.
I mean, those I'm a little more forgiving towards because they're generally just pictures, but like family vloggers are like.
No, they're like all on stories now. It's like
I don't use Instagram.
You don't use Instagram, but like Instagram has been like YouTube has become less the place I feel like for that sort of content. It's like TikTok and Instagram where there's like reels and stories all the time. And
this makes me super glad that I grew up in the actual 90s.
Literally. I love the fact that Mario Lopez was the one interviewing them at the end. I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh my god, why didn't I register that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. There's a lot of like stuff in this one that I feel like a caboodle. I was like, why do I know what that is, but I don't remember that name? Like I just could picture that like plastic thing you open up with like makeup in it, and I was like, they keep saying the word caboodle. Like, is that what it is? And I looked it up, and what do you know? A caboodle is that.
Wait, I didn't even register that. Caboodle?
Yeah, when she's like bringing her back into the set, she puts out a caboodle by the door.
It's like a makeup
case.
Like
a makeup case, but it's like plastic.
I wouldn't have known what it is, but I recognize it after seeing the picture.
Yeah,
it's generally something for like teen girls in the 90s.
Right. That's so funny.
Yeah, like they said the word like trap keeper, and I was like, whoa, I haven't seen that word in a while. But I was also like, there was a lot of hints from different teachers that were maybe trying to help, but like I wish we got more. I just feel like everything we kind of got bits of, but not enough detail for it to feel fleshed out, and like we didn't get to know enough for me to like care enough about certain things, like that teacher that like caused the distraction, and like
we like never saw him again after that, did we?
No. And
it's not only that we never saw him, but we never found out what happened. Like Chris must have pieced together like he was a distraction.
Right.
So, is he dead?
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesse, what you said earlier. Like, I didn't think about it when reading it, but having little inserts of like, the sun is always a star, they both die at the end, would have made push this book to a new level, because like it just really broadened that scope in like such an interesting way, and let us explore. Like, for me, the premise is really the highlight of this book. Like, the setting, this like 90s TV show set with like this futuristic element, like it's so interesting, and like to broaden that scope with like multiple perspectives and like seeing it from different angles would have made this book amazing.
Right.
You know what was really confusing to me? Are they always in 1998, or did they start in 1990 or the 80s?
I think they started in the late 80s.
Like, then why is it called Stuck in the 90s? And why is it beyond 1998? Like, they never leave 1998.
You know, I don't know.
I was like, wasn't it 1997 the year before that? Like, or is it just always 1998? And how come she's never thought?
I mean, I guess it's beyond 1998 because, like, that's when the group started, when they were in the year 1998. So it's
but they're in 1998 now, so that means the group just started.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I realized that toward the end. I was like, wait a minute. How long have you been in 1998? A while.
It's gotta be before that, because like just from Jess's perspective, when she didn't know that she was stuck in it, like going through school, she'd have to realize that like the dates change. Like she'd have to know that much. So I feel like they must have started in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, she's 18. So
she's
like
18 now, but they did
hypothetically be born in 1980.
They did like 15 seasons. So like I don't think it started until she was 3 or 4, but still that's gotta be mid 80s.
That's in the 80s. That's mid 80s, yeah. It's weird.
Yeah.
It is weird. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I was like, wait, it's still 1998. 6 months have also passed. What right. On, and it was 1998.
There's one mention where like she's going back and it's like October 1997.
It's weird. You know what I really liked? Really found fascinating, like how the weather is in Maine and how like the beach can be like overcome with water, and like how she was talking about like people used to live on the water and before it was too dangerous, and
that was one of the things that was like too close to home of like
it was very scary,
increasingly scary weather. It's like
that's global warming. Yeah, 2037 is really not that far off.
Yeah. And I mean also like I think it's going to be worse by 2037 because like it's gotten exponentially bad the last like 5-10 years here. So like another 15 years, like
I don't want to think about it.
No. Yeah. But I'm glad it was like a thing. Like that's why people like really grab onto this 90s TV show, because it's kind of like they can escape their really grim reality. And like the thing at the end, how they're like houses can't be insured because there's just so many disasters all the time. Like that's real scary.
Definitely.
Real scary. What was y'all's like standout moment in the book?
I mean, I liked when everything kind of hit the fan. With like the car wreck and then everything that developed kind of after that. Yeah. That was really intense, but like I really liked that moment. Like it was weirdly enjoyable to read about, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like
I really liked that too. Like the explosive climax of like a stage car accident that's supposed to legitimately kill them. I really enjoyed that. The actual ending was a little lackluster for me, just because if there's another book, I'm okay with it. Like that's the thing. If there's another book, we can explore more of this situation. Like Chrysalis comes back for revenge, Mims comes back for revenge. Like I'm much better with the ending if that happens. But if this is the end of the book, why couldn't we get an epilogue of her and Kips being reunited. Like that's
Right?
all I wanted. Like
Yeah.
it's really just like it feels unfinished and kind of depressing that we end on like, oh, they still can't be together for another 4 months and like maybe then.
Yeah.
I'm just like, why can't you just give us that 4 month in the future reunion? Because like we
Yeah.
start with them so cute together and like in love, and like that would have felt more of like a closing arc to it of them getting to be together again.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's why I thought there was a third book for sure.
Yeah.
I think it would have been cute if like the interview people like surprised her with him at the end. Like that would have been a nice moment.
Good.
Like missed opportunity.
Especially because his family is very much trying to do like in the circuit and like bank on publicity. So that would have been great.
Exactly.
It would have been. That would have been a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget what I was gonna say. I really like for some reason, like a scene that really does stand out to me is the one where she meets Val and she's like in that dressing room and she sees all the extras on the wall and they all have like it's basically looks like a burn book from Mean Girls, like the slut and like the druggie, like Burnout, and it's just I think maybe it was like the lack of dialogue between a lot of our characters that made it just not feel as real to me, like through the whole thing. Because a lot of
I noticed that this book. Yeah.
Not like let's talk about what's going on or like bond or like have a real conversation.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. Like there wasn't much dialogue in this book. I don't remember like what it was like in the first book, but it just like stood out to me that there wasn't as much dialogue between characters.
Also, the first book, it almost worked with less dialogue because it was very like Jess figuring out this mystery.
That's true.
And so like we were okay like being very close in her head and like not having to have a lot of dialogue. But in this one, like with her going back to the show and having all these confrontations with people, like we could have done more with that. Like I really enjoyed all the confrontations that we got and like all those conversations. But I felt like, you know, an audience member watching the show, I was like, give us more drama. Like let's see more.
Does your camera come on undone?
It's like a clip and it doesn't stay very well.
You gotta get some duct tape.
Duct tape. Real classy.
Yeah, I agree with what you just said.
Same. Sorry to distract. Oh my god.
Yeah, like the best part was when they like looked at that note, and I almost wish they saw it a little sooner. The note that was like they're gonna kill you, and there was more of a chase almost, and they had to get in the car, and then they couldn't control the car. I feel like it could have just been elaborate, and maybe like this was on a rush deadline, and like there wasn't time to like elaborate. But I feel like it just needed to be a little broader for us to get the full scope of everything.
Yeah.
Also, in that moment, I was really frustrated that Kips went back in. Like,
I know, like, how can you help Reeds if you're stuck in here?
Literally.
Yeah, I wasn't. It wasn't like a completely unbelievable thing because like he wants to go back and save his brother. Yeah. Like I get that, but like they just tried to murder you. Like get out of there as soon as you can. Like going back in is just asking to be murdered.
Yeah.
Like if Reed was still stuck in there, like I don't know how he thought he was gonna save him. Like,
yeah. That's one of those like things where it's like it doesn't make any sense for this to happen right now. Like sometimes in a second book they'll like break up the couple and it's like why? It doesn't make any sense. Like this was that moment.
And I mean they could have still broken them up by having him and Reed go outside and then like their parents separating them.
Take them
like,
separate,
the part at the end is like he's still under 18, so like he's still under the control of his parents. Like they could have escaped together and then been like separated when they thought everything was like all good and like we're free, we're together, and it's like, oh no, you're not.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean like I've read never mind. But like there's books where like where like they do those like time jumps where like they reunite and like it doesn't have to be long. Like we could have just had like a little short, like really cute, like, hey, We're back.
Hey.
I think they even could have done that at the ending, like if they had reunited on the show, like you mentioned, like that could have been a good moment with like the conflicting emotions, because like they're reuniting, they're together, but literally everyone is watching them, and so it's like an invasion of privacy.
That's like Peeta and Katniss when they're like forced.
Very much that. Like it could have been. And they were like very aware of the audience, but like that was the only way that they got to like see each other. So like we still could have had that sort of like unsettled feeling of like it's all a show, but like it's not. But like their lives are being marketed and exploited. So that I wanted to see them together at the end.
That's all we wanted. That's what I signed up for.
Because like they were so cute in the beginning, and he got her dog back for her. And like,
oh my gosh, that was precious. I forgot about that.
That was really cute.
Fuller.
I thought something bad was going to happen on that trip, and he was going to be taken, and like she was going to be stuck alone in Maine and have to like save them. But they came back.
I mean, they were still caught because of it.
There was I feel like also maybe it would have been nice to see like Charlie and Sarah outside of the thing after they dropped her off, like what they were doing and stuff. I just like
we could have seen them getting arrested from their perspective, and like that element, rather than Chrysalis just like telling Jess that's what's happening.
Because it just didn't feel as real for her to just say that. It's like, how do I know that's what happened?
Well, she showed her like news articles that were like talking about it and showing it.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel the same to us. Like she sees the news articles, we just hear about it all.
It would have been much more immediate to like see it, and especially there would have been some great dramatic tension if like we saw that while they were like on their way to the diner. So like we see that like, everything's going wrong, and like they don't know yet that like Jess and Charlie have been caught, or Sarah and Charlie have been caught, and like it's a trap, Jess, it's a trap.
Yeah, because once you get there, you're just like, oh, they did it. And like, of course, it's like the grumpy guy. Like he did. Like they were like, it's weird that it's him, but I was like, why wouldn't it be him? It's always the most unexpected. But yeah, I guess also in the car when it crashed, like she did post the video, even though she said I was about to post it, and she took it from me and broke my phone. Did you guys feel like?
It must have just gone through, like someone accidentally hit the final button to like send it through.
I feel like
I don't know why she did the video. Why did she
live? Just go live. Like, did you just learn Instagram today? You still should go
I mean, she kind of did. She's new to social media. Cut her some slack.
But she also was talking about people live streaming her. So it's like, you know that you can do it.
Yeah. But also, she grew up in, like, this is also foreign to her.
I'm cutting her some slack.
Yeah, I'm cutting her slack too. Also, because I don't use Instagram, so.
Exactly. Would Kat know how to go live in that situation?
Yeah.
Probably not.
No, I've never gone live. I don't even know how to use.
Kat's a hacker. She can figure it out in 5 seconds.
Yeah, okay, that's probably true.
Who are we talking to?
You guys think I'm a hacker because I know how to use Google? Like,
very well.
I mean, we don't know how to use Google, so.
Well, that's because I was around when it became a thing. Like we had to discover this in school.
I mean, me too, but we discovered Ask Jeeves and Yahoo.
Oh my gosh, Yahoo.
Well, I mean, yeah,
those were the
Yahoo.
Should we wrap up? Final thoughts on This Is Not the Real World? If there is a third book, what do we think is going to be about? Like following the trial?
Probably the trial.
I think the trial to some degree, but also just like a lot of fallout from this. Like I want Mims to come back and get her revenge.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that I just need more closure with personally.
Revenge, like the show did it.
The Revenge of Mims. I'm telling you. I would have liked her both there, and also I want to see Jess and Kips get together again, and like how, like obviously even once they get together, there's still going to be conflicts because they're like two of the most famous people in the world right now, so like they can't balance, like they can't just stay in hiding their whole lives, but like every time they go out, it's like everyone knows Jess in like such a deep way, and like that's so like a violating feeling of her having to like deal with that, and like now she's done with the show and she's an adult, and like I just want to see more of that.
What if like Mims comes for revenge on like the whole world, and that's the plot and the title of the next one? Like she's like, I'm gonna burn down everything because you took that show away.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think Mims is that unhinged. Like, I think she really is. She's just a fan who's like a little too obsessive.
Yeah.
But I don't think she's like destroy the world obsessive. Like I think that's more of a Chrysalis thing of like, you ruin me, I ruin everything.
Yeah. I also like low-key want to see the parents like have some karma or something, you know, because like they're terrible. They're so horrible. What
yeah, I agree. We need some like resolution there as well. She's like, I talk to them on social media now.
They slide into my DMs every now. Really? After all they did to you, okay.
Yeah,
I'm more okay with that because like there are people like that who are just so oblivious and self-absorbed that like they're just narcissistic.
I'd like to see them though, like working at Macy's or something, and like completely off social media, where they like can't do their social media thing anymore.
Yeah.
And
or
then
they're canceled.
Yeah, they have to be canceled
and held accountable for their actions.
Yes, because like them just still enjoying like the fame aspect of it is annoying.
Well, they're not as famous now. Like there was that line about how like they aren't able to like get as many brand deals and stuff, and like they're both kind of confused about like, why did our media empire collapse? Like how could this have happened?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I also imagine her parents are, if it's 2037, her parents are like, they were born in like what, the late 90s, and so like or like in the 90s or 80s, they're like our age, like what?
I mean,
they've grown up with like this social media, like they were probably teenage influencers like around 2020, like this time. So like it's all they've ever known. Like they're just like sort of deluded, self-absorbed people who like are probably on TikTok right now.
Christine's spiraling. She's just spiraling over there.
So uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was the live show for This Is Not the Real World. Thank you again to QuirkBooks for sponsoring. And next month we are reading Gallant by V.E. Schwab, and our live show is August 6th. August 6th. Thank you guys so much for joining. And I'm Jesse.
I'm Christine.
I'm Kat.
Word explosion. Bye.
Bye.